Good noon time. Yes, 12 noon. On this Wednesday morning. Wednesday? Yes, Wednesday. You'll probably notice a little different angle on the camera. I'm sitting, this tripod is sitting on top of Bob's radio's cabinet, which raised up a little bit. I'm also recording with the ZE-1, but I'm using 720p 30 frames a second setting on the camera. I don't like using HD because it just takes me so long for the rendering in the video editing program. And running them through Sony Movie Studio 13 increases the size 2 to 3 times. And I don't understand why, but it increases the size. I'm going to probably try editing this video in Windows Movie Maker, although I don't have good luck with HD unless they're very short videos. You'll notice I'm down to a t-shirt. It goes from one extreme to the other, and like I said, you're going to go right from winter into summer, and that's exactly what it is. It's probably about 80 degrees out, and I hate hot, humid weather. There's no pleasing this old goat. It's either too damn cold, or it's snowing all the time, or it's hot and humid. Today isn't really humid, but it's hot. Yesterday, I was very busy off camera in this shop rearranging things. I will show you that if I can keep my videos down to a reasonable length. I did a lot of caulking up. When I built this shed, it was a storage shed, but I did a lot of caulking around to keep bugs out and cold air from coming in and so forth, although there wasn't really any cracks. When I build something, I usually build it pretty tight, you know. But there's always little cracks here and there where a 2x4 you know, connects to, you know, the plywood connects to it. Sometimes, you know, you have to clear, you know, fill those spaces in and so forth. What's been happening when the weather gets warm, I get black ants in here, and I've never had that before. And there's only 2 places they could be coming from. There's no dampness, there's no leaking, the roof doesn't leak. It's either coming in from over here, where the building joins the other building, because of the rotten OSB board that I used on the roof of the original shed, and went over the top of that with roofing years ago. And then when I made this, I just chopped away some of that, and the roof comes down from the old shed like this, and the workshop here comes down like this. Okay, so there's a valley there. Now there's no leak. And it's bone dry up in there, but maybe the ants are coming from that. Maybe there is at the bottom of the original shed where the OSB crap board was put over the top of the sheet metal. Down at the bottom it's spongy, down a few inches from the bottom in some places, and some of the plywood that I replaced is spongy. Because when I built that, the foundation base plate of this shed, my videos are getting long again, I may not be able to edit this, is when you get the original shed was 8x10 or something like that, I can't remember now, and they told you just build a 2x4 frame and have it coming out 2 inches all the way around, and then when you put the metal, everything was metal, and you put the metal sides and you screw them all together, and you had a lip about 1.5 inches or almost 2 inches all the way around. So your metal siding came down like this, and then you had your 2x4 all over. Instead of the siding coming down and your 2x4 is on the inside, like when I built this, it's on the top, and you got this lip. Well, it holds water and it rots the plywood. Well, ants could be in that, getting up in there and getting up underneath the OSB crapboard, even though it's not leaking, and coming in through here. And now let me just show you. Okay, if you look back on the construction of this roof comes out about 3 feet into the other shed roof, so it's about halfway up the other shed. And so there's a valley there. And this used to all be open here. I caulked all this up because of the ants. But the ants could come in from up underneath here and come up over. So the only other way I can keep that from happening is to put screening up in here. But then I'm going to lose all this little convenient storage area. This is my selfie stick for one of my earlier, before I made the camera boom. I would lose all that space if I closed that off too. But I think they're coming in, although I don't see them, I think they're coming in through the door, because underneath the door there's a space about 1/8 inch. I never put weather stripping there, and through here and on the top. The door is not airtight. I just never did anything with it, but I think probably I should. And there's Bob's radio. For those of you who are saying to me, you haven't done anything more on the radio, what happened? I'm waiting for parts to come in from Bob. He had to order them because he couldn't get locally, and Jan Electronics did not have the 68 microfarad 160 volt electrolytic. As soon as those parts come in, I will get back on this. So we're down to part 1. We're waiting. Part 2 will not start until I can get the capacitors. So let's hope I covered that. Anyway, so as you can see down here, and I'm not using electric heater anymore, as you can tell, I just caulked everything. I didn't have any openings there, but I had extra caulk, and I went all the way around. I went underneath here, everything out under here, and caulked all the way around. Took everything out from the top shelf, caulked all the way around, although everything was pretty well caulked anyways. So the only thing that is actually open is this area in here, all the way through. But you can see I've got stuff stuck up in there. I need every nook and cranny, so I don't want to close things off too much. I removed everything from this top shelf, reorganized it, doesn't look it, but I did, and caulked everything all the way around. Now, yesterday, I don't see anything today, but yesterday there was a black ant here, and there was one here, and he's laying right there from the spray. So they got to be probably coming in from the door, because there is a space underneath the door. You can see daylight there. Here we are outside. Now when I built this plywood goes over, which is the proper way to build it, okay? But when I built the original shed, originally this was metal, it still is. Inside is all the typical metal shed, and you build it on a platform, and I probably showed this before several years back. You build it on a platform, a 2x4 frame, because that's what the instructions said. At the time I could have used 2x6, but I didn't. I just went by the instructions. And when I replaced this plywood, which needs to be replaced again, see what I mean about the rotting right here? Okay, that is what, if any ants are getting in, they're getting in here, they're probably getting up, although I don't see any indications of ants, but that's an example. They could be getting in between the plywood and the sheet metal shed, which is originally, you can hear the metal in there, okay? Getting in there and then getting all the way up and getting inside. They can't get into here. because there's screening in here. So this whole thing I replaced, and I did it on video. I replaced some of the plywood, but down at the bottom, about an inch from the bottom, is starting to get soft again. Now, this is aluminum flashing that I put in years ago to go over the 2x4. It goes up like this, comes up like this, about here. Okay? All right, and then I put the plywood over it. But because you got water sitting here, it's going to rot this out. This is not pressure treated. So a lot of work has gone into this. Here's one of them black ants now. Okay? Now every year we get them. Again, that's got screening inside, so they can't get in through that way. But as you can see, the original is OSB crapboard, and then I still got OSB crapboard here, but it's solid. It's not. And then I cut back and put regular plywood in here. And this one here I did a couple years ago on video. I think it was this one. I don't even know if I'm recording. Yeah, sun is right in my eyes here. I don't like this weather, but this thing reads about 5 degrees too high anyways. So anyways, I'm using, like I say, 720p on this camcorder, the KODAK ZE-1. But I'll kick myself for using it because I'll probably have a SOB time of editing it. But anyways, every year I have to battle black ants all around here. You know, that's normal. Nothing is wet, nothing leaks, but underneath, you know, we got a lot of oak trees around here, so I think that's primarily why we got so many ants. And down here you can see, as I had mentioned, that I banged that stake down quite a bit. This is not permanent. The stake is, but this is temporary. This is just 14 wire that goes up to the tree and ties into the ground on the coax. I'm going to get heavier wire, and I'm going to put another stake. Well, this is the roots coming out this way, so I'll probably have to bring a stake down, ground stake, probably about in here somewhere, and maybe one over here. I'll have to experiment, and daisy chain the grounds together with heavy copper wire clamped on each ground stake, buried. It only has to go in a couple of inches under the ground. Just bury it and come in. This is just temporary, and bury it as much as I can under the ground, so you'll have 1, 2, maybe 3 ground stakes, because you can't go in the ground. There's too many rocks. I'm lucky I got that in 3 feet. And then I want to run ground coming out of the shop and going on to here. So like I say, this is temporary. So if I had, back in the 90s, had used my head besides a hat rack, I should have built the shed like I did with this one, and like I did with this part. But it's an afterthought. As you accumulate more junk, you get bigger and bigger, but I can't go any bigger now. So I just want to show you what's going on, and I figure I'll make an HD video here, and like I say, if I can't edit it, I'll have to, well, you won't see it, obviously, if I couldn't edit it. And the sun is getting awful hot out here. Oh, I'll come back into the cool shop. I tried the air conditioner yesterday. It still works good. Okay, now, this is what I was supposed to do in the beginning to get the video started here. I relocated my Motorola DC voltmeter and my ICO VTVM over here, put the isolation transformer down here, and got the monitor off to the side where the VTVM and the Motorola meters were located before. So there's no wires hooked to it right now. It is plugged in, and it can be controlled with my switching. It's a little disorganized. I got my power supply up here, and because of the 2x4 that holds the air conditioner up, I'm not able to push this back anymore. But anyways, we got it. So we're pretty well organized, as best I can be organized. And I repaired Bob's rabbit ear thing. I had to use hot glue on the inside. I put some Scotch tape on the outside to keep the hot glue from running out when I had it upside down. I just put a cable tie on this to hold it all together. When Bob hooks this up, the inner 2 wires are for the rods, and the outer 2 wires, which I have taped back here, is for the UHF. So Bob, you can use this to get your FM on that radio once we get the capacitors and get it all working. So you can use this here part, these 2 connectors, to go to the FM. You don't need to use the other 2. They're not accomplishing anything. The other 2 are for the UHF part, and serves no purpose for this radio. So I'm going to end this video. I'm sure glad I did all that moving the stuff around and caulking everything and taking care of that. Even bought a couple of cans of ant killer at Walmart yesterday. Got that out of the way, so now I even worked down there. I pulled that AC, that 10,000 BTU, which is brand new, by the way, air conditioner, hot point, and caulked all around underneath there. There was no leaks or anything, but I wanted to caulk it. So the next step is to work on the door. So I guess I'm going to end this video because it's getting too long, as always. So we'll see you on a computer near you. Don't go away.